Council meeting to order. Everybody stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, take the roll.
Mayor O'Connor,
Here.
Morissette,
Here.
Alms,
Here.
DeZiel,
Here.
Weber,
Here.
Atkins Hoggett,
Here.
Here.
All right. So first of all, I want to wish everybody a happy new year. I hope everybody had good holidays and had a chance to do whatever you were able to do given the circumstances. Hopefully we'll kick off a much better 2021 than we experienced in 2020. Having said that, let's start with mentor proclamation. Aaron, are you reading that?
Yep, I got it. Okay, so whereas every child deserves to achieve their full potential in life, and whereas one-to-one mentoring relationships through Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Northwestern Wisconsin ignites the power and promises of youth, and whereas children with a mentor set higher goals for themselves, and whereas children with a mentor are less likely to use drugs and alcohol, and whereas children with a mentor are more likely to reach higher levels of education. And whereas each year, hundreds of caring adults volunteer their time to better the lives of children in our community as mentors. And whereas 2021 marks the 20th year celebrating January as National Mentoring Month. And now, therefore, on behalf of Mayor Rich O'Connor, City of Hudson, does hereby proclaim January 29th, 2021 as Big Brothers, Big Sisters Thank Your Mentor Day, and urge everyone in Hudson to thank their mentors and those who have made a positive impact on them while growing up.
Excellent. Thanks, Aaron.
Yep.
First thing up are citizen comments. Once again, keep in mind that comments are limited to things that are not on the agenda. We are not allowing people who do not live in the city to comment this time. Keep your comments as concise as possible. Please try not to repeat things that had been said by prior speakers. If you are on Zoom and would like to comment, please just chime right on in. We can't see you if you raise your hand. So, like I said, just chime in, and please don't forget to unmute. Is there anyone that has a comment they'd like to make? Does anyone have a comment? Does anyone have a comment? All right, we'll close that portion of the agenda. We're into the consent agenda. Becky?
All right. Approve the claims in the amount of $977,102.45. Approve operator's license as listed on the list sheet. Approve a secondhand article dealer's license for Echo ATM LLC at 2222 Crestview Drive inside of Walmart. Approve the library occupancy agreement as presented.
Move to approve. Second.
Got a motion and second to approve the consent agenda. Roll call.
Morissette,
Yes.
Alms,
Yes.
DeZiel,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Atkins Hoggett,
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Motion's approved. Into unfinished business, review draft of information and provide further direction on how to implement the Safer Hudson initiative.
So if the council remembers, we approved the Safer Hudson initiative actually a few months back now. But based on kind of what was going on at that time, the state put in their mask mandate and kind of things like that were happening. We sort of put it on hold a little bit, but now we just want to bring back kind of the details of it, because when the council approved it, it was fairly open-ended. So Councilmember DeZiel has been working on kind of putting together what we have attached, which really basically is an agenda is a letter that we would send out to the businesses with a survey of the business practices, and then we would figure out kind of like a poster sort of thing where they could plug in their own information and basically say this business participates in the Safer Hudson initiative. You can learn what we do by going here, but also here's what we are doing. And that would be kind of what's on the poster. So basically all I wanted to do was really kind of run this by the council, make sure that this met what you were thinking was going to occur, what we were going to do, and then we'll go ahead and get this rolled out. And I don't know if Councilmember DeZiel has any comments about it either.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron. I guess I just wanted to say, to sort of explain to the public, we passed it in late October, but we were waiting for the city to pull off the fall election, so to speak, with staff time. We were looking at whether the governor was going to renew the mask mandate for Wisconsin, which he did. We were also waiting on the St. Croix County board to see if they were going to put in a health ordinance related to COVID. So those were kind of some of the details that we were waiting on. And I think at this point, it makes sense to move forward. I think the one thing that I did see, Aaron, when I was reviewing the letter was I think we need to update the statistics on page, I guess it's page 33 of the handout, but the letter that where it talks about like the St. Croix County numbers.
Yeah, I did try to update it when I did the packet. So it is basically updated as far as those numbers go as of a week ago, but I know that we did just get an update from the county tonight. So I'll review that update from the county tonight and make sure I get it updated further.
Yep. So I guess what I'm trying to clarify is that we just want to make sure if we're including the current county numbers, or even better yet, to include the current city numbers that we got tonight, that would be great. That's
yep, I'll make sure to do that.
Yeah. But I guess I want to say that where this came from to his background is, we're sitting in the middle of a awful pandemic, right? And it's been an awful year, 2020. What can we do to work in partnership with businesses to make our community safer is really where this is coming from. I look at it as a really positive thing for the city and for an initiative, a government initiative, but one where we're really inviting businesses to be partners. And it's really left on a voluntary basis. This is not something that needs any type of enforcement. It's not sort of a legal piece. It's more of a spirit of partnership. Let's do this together, community. Let's get in here and be as safe as we can. And we also acknowledge in the letter that businesses have had a very, very difficult year. And we want to affirm all the businesses that have worked really hard, especially during March, April, May, before we could, a lot of businesses were open. So we really acknowledge that it's been a very difficult economic year for folks as well. And we're here to support you. Part of the letter also includes the county contact from the health department. So if there's any businesses out there that said, or are kind of wondering what are some practices maybe that, you wanted to make some movement on or maybe improve on, that information is in the letter as well. So I would just leave it up to the council maybe right now to hear some more feedback and things maybe that you guys would want to tweak or change or something. So,
Aaron, I'd like to jump in on the conversation. I have talked with Chamber of Commerce folks, business people around town. This has already been done by the businesses. This has already been done by the chamber. These things are voluntary, correct, but at the same time, it's pointing out a division of this and them versus those guys. And I don't want to be a part of that. Within your letter, you have the council members, this council. I never voted for this. I don't want my name a part of this letter or a part of what we're trying to do because to me it extrudes negativism and division that we don't need anymore. It's already been done by the Chamber of Commerce, the outlet that it should be done with. So when you're doing this letter, and if it goes further, do not put the Chamber of the council as a whole.
Yep.
I will not sign it.
Okay.
I'm not certain that's prerogative that you have, Randy. If the council passes it, the council passes it. So we're not asking for, I'm not seeing us ask for signatures.
Well, we have on the end, it says a lot, signed by mayor and council. And, I think to make it easy, I can just remove any sort of signature at the bottom. It's not a letter that requires us to necessarily sign it as a council. I can sign it as staff, as administrator. That's not a problem.
Thanks, though, Jim.
And Randy, I guess I just want to say I would never ask you to do something against your conscience, so I respect your conscience, and I appreciate your honesty. I do think it is not meant as being divisive at all, and it's not about, I think you're still seeing this through the eyes of the first proposal, which was a little bit different. This proposal simply says to businesses, hey, what are you doing? You can post it, and if you want it to advertise on our website, we're happy to put that up. It's completely open to the business, whatever tools they're using. So this is simply, it's mostly just a communication tool. So I think in that sense, I just don't see how it's divisive.
People want to know this information, so I think we're doing a service by providing this information.
Well, and again, my intent tonight wasn't to reopen if we're doing this or not. It was just to make sure we get input that this is what we're proposing to put out. And like Randy said, we did have on there that signature, so I'll definitely remove that. And I'll adjust some wording to make it clear that it's from the city, not individual council members that are necessarily in support with it. So that's kind of what I think what I'm looking for with it is that any of those sort of tweaks to like the letter or the survey or anything that you want to see happen.
I'll move to approve with the changes discussed.
Second?
Got a motion and second to approve. Any further discussion? Bill?
Yeah, so there's a few things. So where do we see the end result of this? Is this something where businesses are opting in and then we are putting that business with all this on our website? Is this something for a tool for the business just to post in their business and they opt in for this? Is there any, what is the end result, I guess?
Right. So I think what one part's going to be is that poster, which we don't really have the poster on there, but we'll do a nice poster. And with that poster, we'll allow it to be editable by the business, where they can, kind of include the items that they are voluntarily doing so they can post it. And then our thought with the website was not necessarily listing the individual businesses on the city website, but giving a rundown on the city website of here's all the different things that are being done by our local businesses. And if you see this poster in the window, you know that they're part of the Safer Hudson initiative, something to that effect, not going through and providing a list of individual businesses that are doing it, though, no.
So I want to be very specific. It's not where we are listing individual businesses on our website.
Correct. That's not the intent. What the
Okay.
website is going to say is that this is a Safer Hudson initiative. Here are the number of things that are recommended to be done to participate in this. And if you go out and see this poster in the window of a business, you know that they're part of this.
Sure. To Mr. Morissette's point earlier about the divisiveness, if we can take a look at dining versus retail. Retail says provides in person. We do not put provides in person for dining, even though restaurants are allowed to. So I would be very specific on making sure that everything across the board is equal to each other.
How do you do that? How do you do that?
What do you mean?
I'm not following what you mean by that.
So we said retail.
Yep.
One of the checklists is provides in person, but it
Yeah.
doesn't say that in dining.
Okay.
Say provides in person.
Maybe for the dining, I'll put the provides in person, and then I know that the restaurants have been doing some really interesting things with new technology to make the interior dining as safe as possible. So I think what we can do is I'll put something there about allows in-person dining with the following safety precautions in place. And then the individual dining establishment can list if they've done these HVAC updates, these air purifiers, if they have the separations between the tables, if they're limited the capacity, to 50% of their usual, things like that. We'll allow them to customize it to show that yes, we do in person, but here's what we've done to make that as a safe experience as possible.
Okay.
Aaron, how is this different from what's being done right now? With the posters that are out there, the Facebooks that are out there that says Safer Hudson, done by the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, my thought is that it's coming from the city is the difference. It's another avenue of getting this information out.
This is Mary Claire from the Chamber. Can I speak?
Yeah, absolutely, Mary Claire. Go ahead.
Sorry. Good evening, Mary Claire at the Hudson Chamber. So, I know that this has been talked about quite a bit, and I know that I've shared the poster that we put together last spring with Aaron, and I'm just wondering, I'm just concerned, this just, was up on the agenda today, so I only had an opportunity to talk to a few business owners today, but they're not going to fill it out. And my concern is we don't want greater divide in the community than we already have. And I'm concerned that, if you're on a list or if you're not on a list, if you choose not to fill out the survey, then you're not on the list and then you don't get the poster. I appreciate the thoughtfulness in the initiative. I'm just concerned, as Councilmember Alm said, what's the end result that we're looking for? And I'm not sure if guests are coming to Hudson that their first place that they're going to go to find out about safety practices is going to be on the city website. They may call the particular restaurant or retail shop, or they may go to their website. So I just want to understand what the end goal is while appreciating the thoughtfulness in the initiative.
Well, Mary Claire, I think is a great question. My end goal when I was talking about this in October, and I think it continues to be, to literally create a safer Hudson. So I think it's about information sharing. I'm a little bit confused by Councilman Alm's need to not have businesses on the city website. I think the original intention, as the letter is written, is to do the opposite, is to say, we do want to have you advertised on our website, or at least your information for your safety practices, because this is a government initiative. This is an initiative put forth by us, the local government, to say, we want to help information share, and we want people to actually go to the website. So I think the end game is information sharing. I think the end game is partnering. I think the end game is trying to create a safer Hudson. I think the more we do, the better. I applaud what the Chamber of Commerce has done. I think it's been great work. I think this is a city initiative, so it's a little bit outside the scope of the chamber. And it's the city saying, we want to partner with you and we want to get your word out. And I think that's what we should be doing right now.
And I would say.
Sorry, go ahead, Bill.
Thank you, Aaron. What I would say is if our end goal is to put businesses onto our website with these checklists and we're looking for them to opt in, I'm not in favor of this at all. Is that
that's what I want to clarify. I guess I was unclear about that, Paul, so I apologize for that part when I talked about it. I wasn't thinking that we were doing that, but if that's what the council would like to see done, I just need to know that direction. Are we going to do a list of the businesses and what they're doing on the website, or are we going to just do the general list of what businesses are doing, and then people can go, and if they see the poster, they know that they're part of it?
We're dividing our businesses if you put it on the website.
Why is that, Randy?
Because this person's in favor of doing this. It's personal responsibility, Jim. If you don't want to go somewhere, you pick up the phone or go on the internet and look and see if it meets your strict criteria of whether you can go there or not. It shouldn't be delicate by government. It should be an individual responsibility.
I think the point here is that there is no general list that anybody uses on their website. They may or may not talk about their approach. And we were trying to create, I think, a list that says, really, this is modeled on the CDC requirements or expectations, or however you want to look at them. This is the way you should be doing business. That's not on anybody's particular website.
And I think it's okay to disagree. I appreciate that. I just want to point out, we already voted 4-2 on this in October to move forward. And unless I'm unclear with the other folks on the council here, the idea in the letter pretty much reflects what we talked about in October. So I'm a little bit miffed by the kind of dial back by the folks that didn't vote for it. I think it's already got the majority, so unless I'm misunderstanding something.
No, and again, like I said, my intent with this wasn't that we're going to re-vote on the issue of doing it. It was just looking at what it actually is. Because when we did the vote, it was fairly open about what we were doing. And that's where I was just looking to make sure that this was the intent. So I guess what I would say with this is, if we have the letter as it is with the intent that we will list the individual businesses on the website, just to clarify, Councilmember Hall, was that your motion and your understanding was that we would be listing as part of this on the website?
Yes.
Okay.
And by the way, Paul, there is nothing that says we can't dissent anymore through the conversation that we're having. All due respect.
I appreciate, Randy. Like I said, I appreciate your points of view. That's legit. I'm just saying that I think the consensus was, when we passed it, to have the businesses on there. So I'm just trying to clarify that.
Is that your recollection? Aaron,
I don't believe so.
I don't recall how that went.
Right, and again, I was unsure too of exactly some of the details, which is why Councilmember DeZiel did kind of put this together to kind of fill in those blanks a little bit. So I guess what I'm saying now is that Councilmember Hall's intent is to include that list as part of this, which is kind of what the poster sort of infers to. I didn't want to make that clear. So when you do vote, that you know that you're voting not only for the letter, but also for the list on the website of the businesses as well.
I think we should clarify what was passed, regardless of who voted for or against it, before we go putting black check marks on people's businesses on an internet website.
Randy, there's no black check marks. And understand it this way. Pretty much 100% of businesses could respond to this and all be on the website. They simply list the different practices they're using. It's not about good or bad. It's simply saying, what are you already using? And to my knowledge, every business in Hudson I've been around is using something. So there's nothing that excludes anybody here. It's just a matter of getting businesses to sort of accurately communicate what they're doing, and then we help them out. So it's not a dichotomy here. It's simply a reporting and a passing on of information for the citizens to be able to, make their own choices, like you were saying before.
Okay, so, and also to clarify, Randy, I'm looking at the October 19th agenda packet, and basically it does have the 3 items. So it says the city will use the following means to create this Safer Hudson Initiative partnership: a letter, email the local businesses, encourage them to voluntarily follow CDC safety guidelines, and a survey about their plans for safety practices moving forward. Basically, the City of Hudson will issue a poster that can be used by businesses at the door to inform consumers of their various safety practices. And the City of Hudson will post a list of all businesses that respond to the survey on the city website and explain the various safety practices they will be using to help educate residents. So that was part of what was approved on October 19th, was listing the businesses on the website.
Thanks for clarification, Aaron.
May I chime in?
Yeah.
a couple of things I want to take note of that I had sent, or I had asked Aaron to send around an article that was in the Hudson Star Observer, I believe the last issue, on what River Falls is doing to promote a healthier community and safety measures within their community. And I was very impressed. It was a forward, they're definitely participating in something that was going to get out to the residents to say, here's what we can do. Let's all do our part. It was several organizations teamed together, but the city was an active part of it. And I feel as though Hudson, we're closer to the Minnesota side, and we are really infiltrated a lot more than River Falls is with visitors. Our restaurants are very, very busy, and I just think that we haven't, as a city and led by us, we haven't done enough to be face forward with making sure that Hudson is doing our part to stop the spread and participate in lessening the pressure that is on our healthcare system in our communities. Secondly, I want to point out that I don't see this as something that is divisive. I'm actually traveling right now. I'm in Southern Florida at a conference, and I tell you, it would be really nice if there was something I could look up somewhere to say, where can I have dinner? I don't have any choices down here. I got to eat, and you kind of walk around outside where I feel safe. Can I eat here? Can I eat there? But you don't know. I went in and put my name on a list at a place, and then I was sat at a table, and I was like, yeah, I gotta go. They didn't have the measures I needed. Had I had a place that I could have looked up beforehand, what kind of safety measures are the restaurants taking, I could have selected where I wanted to go based on my individual choice. And there are many, many people who want to go to places that don't have any regulations at all. So it goes both directions, but there are many, many people who, for their own reasons, need to be safe. And I'm included in that group. And I had to leave the place that I had hoped to eat down here. And so I think that there are customers who would like to know ahead of time what measures are being taken. Are there plexiglass between the booths, or is there not? Is there fabric between the booths, or is there not? Are they limiting the number of people at the bar, or are they not? These are things that I would like to know before I go out, so I can select my destination and not get to where I'm going and find out that I can't eat here and then be wandering around hoping that I can find a place to find a meal. So it's a service to the community. It's helpful for those who are looking to find a place that meets their needs, but they don't need to get where they're going and be surprised by what they find when they get there. So I'm going to support this. I think it needs I'm not really too happy with the dining section. I think it needs some more information for people to make a better decision. I'd like to see more information there, but I'm absolutely in support of Hudson showing up, doing something, not pretending that this isn't happening, and then providing that service to our community and our visitors so that they can choose wisely where they want to do their business.
Anybody else?
I just want to say that my vote is going with somebody who I consider to have the pulse of the business owners in mind. I'm going with a vote on hearing feedback from the head of the Chamber of Commerce.
So, issues like this, the devil is always in the details. I put a text over to Brian. I think he's still around, but I was wondering if he could come in here to answer a question. And the question I have, we're talking about trying to keep the community safe. Sarah, I heard what you had to say. I think we've done a lot here, especially in the last meeting that we had to keep the community safe. I think the public knows that we're doing what we can. This is a balancing act. It's not, there are no absolutes. This is a balancing act. And so if we're looking to provide some type of venue, a forum for people to be able to access information, Brian has just walked in. Thank you for coming in, Brian. Do you have any stats on how many people hit our website?
Yeah, I do. I get a weekly email with how many people, like unique visits to our website, what the top searches are, how many clicks they go through before they exit the website, things like that. So yeah.
So on average, how many hit the website a week?
Between 2,200 and 3,000.
Okay, that's significant. And are they local or any idea?
That I don't know if I have that information.
Okay,
I don't dive that deep into it usually.
okay. Sounds good. I appreciate that. Anybody
welcome.
got any questions for Brian? Okay. Anybody, any other council members have any questions for Brian?
Just my question would be if he has a sense of how this information could be posted.
I mean, other than the city's website, since it's a city initiative, pioneered by the council and the mayor, I think the appropriate forum would be the city's website. If you don't want it on the website, we could list it out on the city's Facebook page and Twitter in the information section of the account.
Okay.
That way it's not on the website, but it's still out there for people to find.
Just not germane to you, but the last thing I'm doing and I've been in the tourism business for over 30 years. Last thing I'm looking and calling is the city's website to look for a place that's safe for me to go eat. I'm going to the Chamber of Commerce, or I'm going to go to that particular business website. And any business worth its salt is going to have what they've done to protect their customers. It's common sense. I'm not calling the city that I'm visiting. I'm calling that particular business. This is just redundant, and it's been done, and it's just an overreach.
Yeah. So, and that's, I'm sorry.
Excuse me. May I? I'm a resident here.
Hang on one second.
Make a comment?
Kelsey, could you hold 1 second, please? I think was there a council member that was? I thought I heard Jim. No?
Yeah, I think it's a question, Randy, of how, in your case, of how you look up information. If you don't know what you're looking for, what kind of restaurant we have, and you're saying what's going on in the city of Hudson, then we might be a resource where we can say, okay, here's a list of restaurants and here's what they're doing. Yours, you have to know the restaurant and then go look it up. So it's a little bit different way of trying to get information.
Kelsey?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Are you taking citizen comments right now?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Kelsey Janetsky. I live
Thanks,
at 512 4th Street in Hudson. My husband and I shopped for a home for 12 months before purchasing and finding our house downtown. And I spent a considerable amount of time on our Hudson website, actually, trying to find out about the town, where we could shop, where we could eat, what was a good place to live. So respectfully, I actually really do disagree. And my family and friends also have looked at the website trying to find out this information. So just my 2 cents. I'm one person, but that is how I found out information.
Okay. Anybody else?
Mayor, can I make a comment?
Yes, go ahead.
I am also a City of Hudson resident, Beth Weiskopf, and I would agree with Mr. Morissette and Alderman Alms that the city website is the last place I'm going to go to look up a restaurant. I might go to see if there's parks open or carnivals or festivals in the city, but that is also usually on the chamber site, and that's what we use our chamber for, to promote the city of Hudson and the entertainment industry. I also see constantly on Facebook every single day all the restaurants, that I've liked in the Hudson that tell you what they're doing to keep people safe. I agree, this is redundant. Let the Chamber of Commerce do this and let the businesses do this. How much money is being spent by the city to do something that's already been done, and how much time for our city employees to do this? My 2 cents.
Hi,
Anybody
can
else?
I make a comment?
Pardon me, go ahead.
Oh, my name's Carol. I live at 613 Nolva Drive in Hudson. My comment is, it sounds like it might be one of those things that seems really good to start with, but first of all, it does seem very redundant. And secondly, I can see it degrading very quickly into the black check mark thing, even though if that's not what's, what the original intent is. There's so many things that start out good or they sound good and then suddenly they go south, and this sounds to me like it could be one of those things. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Kristen Emerson. Could I speak?
Where do you live, Kristen?
918 Green Street in Hudson.
Okay.
I guess if the city website is the last place, Mr. Morissette, that you would look, then it should follow that it doesn't matter to you if this information is on there. Because if you don't believe anybody's going to be looking for that information, then who cares if it's up there, right? The other thing is this was already passed, including the detail that this information would be on the website. So I'm curious as to why you're spending so much time trying to dial back something that's actually already been done. And it sounds like you've got 4 people already willing to pass this. So what's the discussion about? I'm curious.
Got a comment? Anybody else?
Hello, Mr. Yes, my name is Stacy Kupka. I would like to make a comment.
Where do you live?
I live in Hudson, Wisconsin.
The city of Hudson? Do
Yes,
you have an address?
961 Daly Road.
Okay.
Yes, I would like to just talk, I believe this is very, again, redundant. I agree with Mr. Morissette and Mr. Alms. Our businesses are already inundated with so much that they already have to do to go ahead and keep up to date with all these different things that they're trying to do to keep their businesses running and keep them safe for guests and for their employees. I think, this has already been done through the Chamber of Commerce, and to ask them to fill out another survey and to go and do all this other, it's enough is enough. How much are you going to continue to ask of these businesses? And then also just the time and the money. Our community and our city has other issues at hand that we need to be facing, mental health issues. We have, just other issues that we need to really focus on, and to put more time and more money into something that has already been done. This seems redundant to me and seems like a waste of time and a waste of our money, and does not seem wise.
Anybody else? When this conversation first started, Paul and I talked, and I had expressed to him some reservations about what I thought was having government involved in this type of information. And I always go to, where does this end? What is the logical extension of this? Where does this end? If we can do this, if government can do this, what else can government do? So if we're posting on our website, for example, exactly the different measures that each business will undertake in their stores relative to precautions for COVID, and going to your point, Jim, that you think it's a good place for people to go that are new to Hudson or just on their way to Hudson, haven't been here before, and they don't really know what the name of an establishment is, to go pick up a phone and call them. Well, is this going to be a clearinghouse then of information also about, is every restaurant going to be able to post their menu? Are the retail stores going to be able to post their specialties so that people get a better feel of what these stores and different establishments are about? I mean, again, so if we can do this, why wouldn't we do that? And people will always kind of shake their head and say, well, that's kind of a crazy idea. Why would we do that? But isn't that kind of a potential extension of, once we travel down this road, it's a slippery slope? I'm thinking, if I want to go to a retail establishment in our city, or if I'm a newcomer here, the first thing I'm going to do is look up stores on the website. Give me an idea of the types of stores that are in Hudson, the restaurants that are in Hudson. And then I'm going to look at, let's say I want to go to a restaurant, I'm definitely going to look at their menu before I go to any city website to determine if they have the precautions I'm looking for, because they may have the precautions, but they might not have the food that I want to eat. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the website, look for restaurants in Hudson, look for a menu that I like, and then I would hope that they would have on that site either a phone number that I can call for the other information I'm looking for, or maybe they would list it, the types of precautions that they have. So I don't think I'm going to be voting on this tonight. It doesn't sound that way. But those are my concerns. I definitely have concerns about using government resources for things like this. And maybe I'm not expressing it as well as I could, but I think the council members know me well enough to know that I always like looking down the road and saying, where does this lead to? Where does it end? And if we do it this way, then why can't we continue on down that road and add other things to our website that people think would be a good addition? And maybe they would be, but again, where does it end? Where does that end? So that's my concern. I don't know that we're going to get anybody's minds changed here tonight. I think everybody's kind of announced how they're going to be voting, what their feelings are. So if it's okay, we do have a motion and a second, unless any of the council members have anything else they'd like to add. I'd like to take a vote. Everybody good?
This is Carrie Rice. I live in the city of Hudson, and I'm just confused about what you're voting on. Are you voting on a draft of information for a motion that has already been approved? I mean, it seems like you're rehashing and redebating the intent, and I, as someone who cares about safety, as I'm sure all of you do, think it was a good idea from the get-go. I don't view it as overreach. I view it as a service to the community that acknowledges that these are not normal times.
The council is simply approving filling in the details of what was approved previously. So it's basically a letter and a survey with some edits that have been requested. So that's kind of basically what they're signing off on tonight.
Okay, I find this whole conversation, rehashing it, very confusing.
All right. So, everybody ready? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion's approved. Discussion of possible action on home occupation license for 725 8th Street to operate a hair salon. Lori Schutte, I think we've been down this road before. I hope I get that right. Lori Schutte? Yes. Okay, sorry about that, Lori. Who's doing this? Aaron?
Nope, this one's Tiffany.
Tiffany. Tiffany. Okay. Hey, Tiffany. Unmute.
We can't hear you, Tiffany.
Still can't hear you, Tiffany.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
No.
Yes. We can hear you now, Tiffany. You're good. Tiffany, you're good. We can hear you. We can hear you now.
Now we can't.
No. I can step in if it's okay. I'm remote. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. The applicant's desirous of a one-seat salon at 725 8th Street. It's a home occupation. Notices were sent to all of the neighboring residences. There was comment both in favor and then against. And Plan Commission, normally you'd see a home occupation permit like this or a license be on consent, but it was a 4-2 vote. The Plan Commission did vote to review it again in 6 months after the home occupation started, in case there were any concerns or issues with parking, business patrons coming and creating any type of disturbance in the neighborhood or anything that would potentially take away from the residential character of the neighborhood. So with that, staff and plan commission recommends approval with conditions.
Mike, I reviewed the minutes of the Plan Commission meeting, and the only reference I got as to why two members didn't vote was concern about extension of the commercial district into the residential area. Is that, am I correct, and is there an issue there?
I don't know that there is, Jim. I think it's a good point. We have, I think the staff report issue, the issue sheet references, we've had about 8 of these since 1994. That we haven't had much issue. I know one of my neighbors actually has a business like this, and I don't see any issue with it, but I think it is prudent to also review these, every few months, especially as it gets started up, to make sure that we aren't, creating any kind of undue or issues in the neighborhoods, or creating a feeling of an extension of a commercial district.
Okay.
To be fair here, Jim, also there were those were reservations that were originally expressed by one or two of the Plan Commission members. I don't know if they were critical in the ultimate vote on that and how they voted. There were some neighbors that had come in and they were worried about traffic, but as we found out, I think it was just one share, and only for a few days and only for a few hours for those days, and with only one share, you only got one car coming in every 2 to 3 hours max. But I just wanted to let you know, like I said, to be fair, that the neighbors' concerns were those, okay, traffic, and I think that kind of proved to be not a problem.
Okay. The other issue that caught my eye was signage. And I believe the applicant said they had no plans to have signs, but that the comment was made that they could have sign. And I hate to go down the road of talking about the sign ordinance, but I don't like to see commercial signs in residential areas. I think that is, once we do that, we're definitely starting to break the commercial barrier. So,
Lori is here. Would you like to comment on that, Lori? Yes, please, could you come up to the mic, please, and identify yourself? Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, I appreciate your concerns with signage.
Again, identify yourself, please.
Oh, I'm Lori Schutte. Yeah, I will not have signs. I do not advertise. I don't need to advertise. I've had my clientele for between 10 and 35 years. I do not take walk-ins. I do not sell retail. I will have one client every 1 to 3 hours, a couple days a week. They can park in my driveway. My driveway is literally 2 houses off Vine Street. There will be no through traffic whatsoever. I don't need a sign. I don't want a sign. I'm not taking new clients or anything, so.
I'll move we approve.
Thank you.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second to approve. Further discussion?
I have a question from Mike Johnson, so just make sure I read the packet correctly. Am I right that there's some allowances for the zoning in terms of a residential if it's a beauty shop? I was looking at that 255-54 that was in the packet. Am I reading that correctly, Mike?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Thanks, Lori.
Thank you so much.
All right, I've got nothing for future agendas other than, once again, I just want to wish everybody a happy new year.
I think we have another agenda item.
Oh, I do that all the time, don't I? What is it now? Oh.
Just a minor detail.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what everybody's been waiting for. Sorry about that. Discussion possible action of reinstating ordinance 19-20 declaring public safety state of emergency and implementing restrictions.
So, as we all know, we did enact the emergency ordinance which was effective through January 3rd, 2021. And so what we discussed when this was put into effect is that we would review it at our January 4th council meeting, and then decide if it's something that we should reinstate for another set period of time, or if it's okay to leave expired. So I think, maybe the best thing to do would be to have Chief Willems give a rundown of how the emergency ordinance has worked, and then for the council to decide if it's something that we want to put back into place. One item to note, of course, is that Minnesota bars and restaurants remain closed for indoor dining. Their closures are in effect until at least January 11th, although the governor has stated that he may provide further direction this week on what will happen after January 11th, just so that the bars and restaurants in Minnesota have a little more time this time to prepare. So we may know, by Tuesday, Wednesday of this week what Minnesota's plans are, but we do know that they will at least be in effect until January 11th.
Chief.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. As I've been in communication with most of you since the beginning of this ordinance getting passed, and been trying to do my best on giving you weekly updates. Quite frankly, nothing's really changed since the first and second week, right, where we saw a drastic, basically elimination of all violence in downtown, essentially. We've had a couple of minor disturbances, but really nothing more than that. Everything has remained very calm. People have still been going out and doing their thing, and we just haven't been experiencing the major violence issues that we were experiencing prior to the ordinance.
How about drug arrests?
They're still, we still have drug arrests, right? Pretty much every day. Even those first 2 weekends where we had our massive show of force and the ordinance was in effect, a lot of that stuff was not taking place in the downtown district. That was in tertiary and secondary parts of the city where we just had just a massive show of force, right? But yeah, you still have the drunk driving, you still have the drug arrests, but what you don't have are the robberies, you don't have the violent fights, you don't have the people essentially so intoxicated that they can't walk and falling down into the middle of the street and things like that. We weren't experiencing a lot of that. And we were experiencing that, a substantial amount of that, prior to the ordinance, just because of the situation with Minnesota and Wisconsin being kind of on different closure schedules. So it's had a huge impact in a positive way. It's been really, there's nothing to report on it nothing has happened.
What's your recommendation?
My recommendation would be to leave the ordinance intact until Minnesota bars open.
Okay.
Would you be amenable to it for a different time, let's say 11? Maybe just do Friday, Saturday?
Well, I definitely think you could probably wash out Thursdays and do a Friday, a Saturday. I don't know if I can even answer the 11 o'clock. I don't think we know what impact that's going to have based on what we've seen. I don't know that would make a huge difference if you increase the hours to 11 o'clock. I think if you were thinking to go later than that, like midnight, I think you've already gotten past the tipping point at midnight. So I don't know on the 11 o'clock. I certainly think midnight would be a mistake.
I would like to suggest that we maybe take it slow and have a compromise at 10:30 for now, till our next council meeting. Let's see how it goes. Let's see what Minnesota does. I think a little bit longer open is awesomely good for the businesses. I'm hearing a little hesitancy in Jeff about, or Chief, about an 11 o'clock that we're not sure. So if 10:30 might be a certain thing, I would move that we continue the ordinance with just Friday and Saturday with a 10:30 stop alcohol serving time for the next 2 weeks, revisit it on our next meeting.
I just want a clarification, Sarah. You said stop alcohol serving?
Well, do whatever we're doing now at 10 o'clock, only move it to 10:30.
Okay.
Would you try 11?
Now, we know Minnesota's closed for the next 2 weeks probably, so, I want to do what's right for our police officers and for the residents of Hudson with the crime that we were seeing, the crime and the violence that was out of hand. So I think we should inch along. I'd like to keep it at 10:30, but I'd like to hear what other council people would like to say.
I would just assume I would prefer that we just kept it as is, same levels, and extend it. I know we have to have a date as opposed to when Minnesota reopens, so we would have to.
I'll second Sarah's motion.
All right, so we've got a motion and a second. Any other council members?
Okay, so we're allowing the bars to be open until regular closing time on Thursday nights. Chief Willems, do you have any concerns about that?
I don't.
Whose motion did we
Sarah's.
second?
No, I think Randy, didn't you second Jim's at 10 o'clock versus 10:30?
No, I'm seconding
I don't
yours,
have-
Sarah.
Okay.
I don't have a motion in a second. Did I miss it?
Yeah, Sarah made a motion.
Yeah, my motion is to continue our current rules, but cut out Thursdays, so they're no longer closing early, and just have Fridays, Saturdays, but move the time from 10 o'clock to 10:30.
Okay.
Yeah, and to clarify, my only hesitation on the 11 o'clock was just because we don't know. Right now, as it stands with the 10 o'clock, everybody is closed down, everybody is out of these establishments by 10:30. And downtown is pretty much cleared out by 10:40. So that was my hesitation, is I don't have any data to comment intelligently on an 11 o'clock closing.
Sarah,
I like the idea of extending it to 10:30 to start, and then also, and if we're reopening on Thursdays, that's going to give the businesses a chance to bring in some more revenue. And then we always have the option, though, that if anything does happen and some concerns where we really need to make a change quickly, we can have a special meeting and take care of it right away.
What end date do you want?
Well,
The reason I suggested 10:30 versus 11 is let's just take it slow. This is a major change, and let's just ease into it. If it looks like 10:30 is good and Minnesota stays closed for, another 4, 5, 6 weeks or whatever, we can take it, half an hour at a time and find out what is our sweet spot.
Sarah,
how long did you want it to go?
Well, just till our next council meeting, because then we'll know a lot more information. We'll have 2 more weekends under our belt where Chief can give us a report. We'll also maybe know some things about Minnesota.
King Day. What's Martin Luther King Day?
17th.
Yeah, so the next council meeting is on Tuesday, the 19th, because Monday, the 18th is Martin Luther King Day and we are closed.
Okay.
I think the 10th, I think I can live with that too, Sarah. I think that's a good idea to sort of ease back into it.
First mention you're the second on it, right?
Yep.
So.
I do agree with that second. With Sarah's motion.
All right, so we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor, if I can just clarify one thing from last meeting. So I had a couple people point out that I misspoke at the last meeting where we were talking about the emergency ordinance, and I'm all for public accountability and setting the record straight. So I actually went back and listened to the tape, and I said at one point during that meeting on December 8th that I've heard nothing but public support from constituents for this ordinance, and kind of gone from there. And I just want to acknowledge that wasn't completely accurate because it was just a misspeak. What I meant to say was I've heard more support for my constituents than people who are opposed. That's kind of what my intent was, but I do apologize for misspeaking because a couple of people called me on them, and good for them. I'm all for the public. I'm keeping us elected officials accountable, so thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that. All right, anybody else?
The only comment I have about the 10 o'clock we said originally, and why I was for that, was in just informally talking with the business owners and people who work, not just the owners, but people who work there. And I got the comment several times is at 10 o'clock, the clientele rolls over. So that's where I was coming from with that. And at 10:30, I don't know, are we going to change things? I'm not sure why it just seemed like it's just a lot simpler just to leave it as it is and extend it.
Okay.
Well, Jim, I respond. My rationale for that is it gives the current patrons a little bit more time to enjoy each other's company and their beverages. But I don't think it's enough time to invite a new turnover of people to come in and be like, yeah, let's go. You know, I think it will just extend the current visitors and help our business owners be able to, provide them service for a little bit longer without turning over. But we'll see. We have a couple weeks to check it out.
In clarifying, they close at 10:30. They have until what to get out? Half an hour?
Well, I think
Finish your drinks,
yeah,
dinner.
I think the last call is still a half hour before, like it would be generally. But instead of physically booting everybody out at 10 o'clock, they were allowing people to finish their meal. They were allowing people to finish their drink, right, and kind of meander out. But notwithstanding 10:30, I mean, everybody was out. The bar stools were on the tables. The lights were on. It was just staff inside the bars, right, for the most part, 10:31, 10:32 on some occasions. But for the most part, it was 10:30, and everybody was out except for staff. So.
Okay. Anybody else?
Sorry, I did want to thank the chief for a very large police presence downtown that first weekend, because I did go downtown about 10:15 and tried to check things out, and there was literally a squad car either from Hudson or the county sheriffs on every block downtown. So I just really thank you for that protection for the city.
Thanks, Paul. All right, ready to vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. All right. I'm going to peruse the agenda here real quick. Got anything? I don't have anything. Anybody? Anything for future agendas? Aaron?
Yeah, so I do. So I apologize for this. We had some miscommunication with the state on our loan financing for our wastewater treatment plant project. And so we had told them that we needed the contract documents and the closing documents and things like that by January 13th for our January 19th agenda. Well, they set the closing on the 13th. And apparently it's a big issue to have the state change it to the 19th. So we're requesting a 5-minute special meeting on the 13th via Zoom to just approve the state contract documents so we can close that day. It should take less than 5 minutes. We'll get the loan documents to the council. This is nothing new. This is the loan that we've already discussed and basically given approval for. The loan amounts included in the sewer rates, all that sort of stuff. It's just we were going to have this on the 19th agenda, but like I said, the state set it for the 13th, and they really don't want to change it. And we're kind of stuck, I guess, with that. So if we could set a special meeting for the 13th at any time that works for at least 4 council members, we can get this quick approved and just be done with it.
Okay. Anybody else?
I have an informational piece. So it seems that 2020 had one more thing in our family. My 14-year-old son had a pretty violent seizure in that evening. And the reason why I'm bringing it up here is I just want to thank Luke Radke, Officer Luke Radke. He was the first on scene at our home, followed by Sam Wellborn. And then I just want to say hats off to John Muller and his team at Lakeview Andrew Belter and Brittany Bielenberg were the paramedics that arrived just minutes after we made that 911 call. Everything turned out to be great. My son's doing wonderfully, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Hudson PD and to Lakeview Ambulance. So thank you.
Good to hear.
Great. Aaron, were you trying to get times from people before we?
Well, I thought if we could just get a consensus, does something like, I don't know, 3:30 work for everybody? I don't care really what time it is, as long as we can get just enough to do the quick approval. It would be on the 13th. It's a Wednesday. Like I said, it was just a miscommunication about when we wanted stuff and when they took that as the day we're approving and closing.
I'm available, Aaron.
I'm available as well.
It works for me too, Aaron.
Works for me.
That's enough. 3:30 on the 13th. Hopefully everybody else can make it too. We'll do the agenda packet soon with the closing documents and the agreement and stuff, and we'll send out the Zoom link for it. And like I said, it should be very quick. So I appreciate everybody being able to do that.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's approved. We stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody.